here on the live screen for the audience. And here we are live. So that's all there is to it. You will see the audience start to appear in the little lights, and maybe they don't. Today is a busy 3-day weekend. Bill, thank you so much for joining. Lovely to see you from New York, upstate New York. Now, I know, Bill, you have spent a bit of time looking at BLM records, so welcome, welcome. So and Dr. Mary Marshall, lovely to see you. And yes, good afternoon. Excuse me, of course, across the country. I am so happy to have two very special guests today in anticipation of a very special program at the end of the month. As you will recognize, my dear friend and Projectkin active member, Crystal Lorimor, has joined me from Ohio. And with her is a colleague, Anthony Atkins, a colleague at the Belmont County. Now, I'm going to back up a sec and let them introduce themselves and this incredible project. But let me just say that the moment I heard about this, I'm like, wow, this is something that anybody, even with the slightest interest in family history, is going to get. So I'm going to back up and let you go ahead and introduce what this project's all about.
Go ahead, Crystal.
Okay, so I'm Crystal Lorimor, and I do the Substack, The Creighton Cabin. And by day, I'm an economic developer. So just a little quick background of this project. I had a diary, a few pages of an old diary from my great-great-great-grandfather about Belmont County. He first came to this area in 1798, before we were actually technically a county. And he talked about where the first store was and where the first orchard was, where they found salt, those kinds of things. But he put it in reference of on so-and-so's land. And so that's what I originally started going through the Bureau of Land Management records. And I started on graph paper and a pencil charting out where the landowners were in a couple different townships, because I wanted to piece together all these stories and see how it changed over those early years. Just so happens, one day I'm in the county recorder's office with Jason Garzik, and you'll meet him when we do the Zoom call, the big event. And he said, "Oh, Crystal, I've been working on this project. Let me show it to you." He brings out papers. He's doing essentially the exact same thing for his own reasons. So we joined forces, and luckily we had not done the same townships. So it was perfect. And then when we were done, we laid it all out on the table. And we're like, well, this is great, but I mean, we have a sense. We kind of know where the creeks were, the roads, and the so forth, the Drover's Trail. But wouldn't it be cool if we could see this over a map? And then I thought of Anthony. And we have Anthony Atkins. And so he has taken this to a level we never dreamed of, which is so cool. So I'm going to turn it over to Anthony so he can explain what he's done.
All right. My name is Anthony Atkins. I'm the Belmont County GIS Director. And if you know any GIS people, you know that we love data. We love collecting data. We love creating data. We love everything about data. If you have data, it doesn't even matter to ask us. Just say, "Here, I have data for you," and we'll happily accept it. So when Jason and Crystal came to me, I thought, yeah, that sounds like a really fun project. Plus, my position is within the county engineer's office, so having the original landowners may actually help some people when they're searching for the provenance of their county or their land. So I thought, yeah, this is great. And I thought I would just stop at Belmont County because it was a fun project, and I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. But my daughter, who also loves history, she was taking a summer class at Fort Steuben. They have a summer program where they learn about the Northwest Territory, Northwest Ordinance, life in the fort, and all of that. So one day when I picked her up, I noticed that they were talking about the Northwest Ordinance and land, and I thought to myself, you know what? I bet you they'd have a lot more fun, and it'd be easier for them to explain all this if they had um, this map for themselves. And so, for those that don't know, um, Fort Steuben is in Jefferson County. So I decided to test my programming skills and automate most of the mapping. So I did Belmont County, printed it off on nice glossy paper, brought it up to the fort, and laid it out on the table and showed them, and they loved it. But one of the women said, "You know what would be really cool? To see this within the entire old Seven Ranges." And I thought to myself, now that I pretty much have the automation down, I think I could do it. And that's when I decided to create the old Seven Ranges and bring in all the other ones. And now it'll probably continue. I don't know. It's a living project that's going to definitely develop.
We don't know
So
where it's going, do we?
for folks outside of Ohio and maybe out into Canada and elsewhere in the world, can you back up a little bit and explain a little bit of the history so we understand what the Seven Ranges is about?
So, and Anthony, you can jump in too if you want. So we're in eastern Ohio, and we're bounded by the Ohio River. Right across the Ohio River, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, or then Virginia. So we were the new territory. We were the West. So after the Revolution, the federal government needed to raise money. So they thought of selling the lands in that Northwest in the Ohio country. So they needed to survey the land. So the Seven Ranges was the first survey of the public land system. And so it consists of several different counties. And if you think of it as a triangle, the cross piece is the Ohio River. That diagonal piece is the Ohio River. Across the top, the northern east-west line is 42 miles wide, 41, 42 miles. And then from the northern down south to like the Marietta area, that's 91 miles. It took them, I was reading today, over $14,000 to pay the surveyors. It took 3 times as much money as they expected it to and 3 times as long. Because you can just imagine pulling the chains through the woods trying to survey this territory.
Right, right.
And
So weren't a lot of the lands part of, I mean, they needed to raise money, but some of the reason they needed to raise money was to pay the soldiers who had fought in the war, and these were land grants, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't necessarily remember history class, so these lands were originally Great Britain's lands, and after the Revolutionary War, we acquired these lands and decided to do what we want with it. One of the and this is what I loved about this project is that I relearned or learned a lot of new stuff. Um, One of the biggest issues at that time was um, settling this land because of the Native Americans, and Great Britain had decided that these lands would not be settled, um, and they had this contract with the Native Americans. So that was probably one of the reasons why the Revolutionary War that we don't necessarily learn about was that a lot of people wanted to develop this land, and Great Britain said no.
And one of the fun things, when the 3 of us have done some presentations locally, and so it's my job. They do the technical stuff. It's my job to look into the people, my part of it. And just to give you an example, we discovered William Dewar owned land in this area. And if you look up William Dewar on the internet sometime, there have been Forbes articles written about him. He was basically running a Ponzi scheme. And now, and he was high society back then. George Washington walked his wife down the aisle to him, to be married, big connections, but he died, but he was cheating everybody. And so he was one of the original landowners here. And we found that really interesting. And they say the New York Stock Exchange, as it exists today, is because of him. And I believe he died the late 1700s. They said the 1792, there was not a stock market crash, but
Yeah.
a bad time
Just
financially, and that was
depression.
and that was because of a lot of what he was doing. So it's been a really interesting, as Anthony said, finding more history, relearning history, piecing together, and then when you can piece the census records with these maps and see the neighbors, that's been really cool.
So, we're teasing people a little bit, and I can see we have a number of people joining now who are perhaps just seeing the email or joining in from having heard about this from others. But at a high level, what you've done here is created a way of connecting land holdings from documents to a GIS map. But wait, there's more. Tell us about that.
So, Anthony, he connected the landowners to Family Search. So that's pretty cool. Go ahead, you want to talk about that, Anthony, or just do a quick description of that?
Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. It's just so if you don't have a family search page, you can search all you want, but you can't view the documents. So I just linked the names to Family Search's search engine, and it will automatically open up a new screen, take you to their site, and list records for the name and dates that is listed. And the date that I'm using is the patent date that the patent was purchased, and the county or the current county that patent took place in. So it should bring up pretty accurate information, but you first have to join Family Search to actually view those. But it's a simple
Right.
click. Once you
But
click
that's
on a
free,
land
and
patent, to bring it up.
right, and that at least always ensures that when you keep logging back in again, you'll see your same records and whatnot. It's all free, not to worry about that. And a little clarification for the genealogists among us: a land patent is a term used to describe the land space. Like, how is that different from other kinds of records?
Actually,
That's the
the
basic
term
stuff.
the term was actually pretty new to me, and I noticed with additional research from for my own genealogy, is that it definitely originated, or we brought it over from Great Britain, um, and it's something that carried over. Looking at um, my genealogy and looking for ancestors, I noticed the term patent is used a lot when uh, in terms of land.
It's essentially like a deed, right?
Yes.
Okay, it's what we
Uh,
would call it. Yeah.
Yeah, from the fence.
So you have a link. May I share that out in the chat here?
yes, please.
Yes, we do. So as people get a chance to look at this link, hang on a second, I'm just copying it. As people get a chance to take a look at that, gis.belco.gis.com/capital northwest underscore capital or starting capital territory. That's your URL, and I'll include it in the notes when I share it as well. And tell us a little bit about what they're going to see and how to navigate around in that. And then, just as a tip, we're going to come back to that and a background to it in a whole lot more detail in our program on October 30th. But tell us a little bit about what they're going to see.
Well, when I created this, I wanted it to be more than just a single tool. I wanted multiple people to use it. So, with the original idea of from the fort, I wanted it to be an education tool as well as a genealogy tool. So I put as many documents, original documents, as I possibly could. So when you first open it up, you'll see the entire seven ranges. The range and the township and ranges, and you can click on those. You'll see
What about
four.
Hey, excuse me. Hey, Anthony, what about, don't forget your splash screen when you first open.
Oh, yep. On the splash screen, it's just a introduction to the Northwest Ordinance, and you can read all about it. You can actually click on the document to bring up the original document. And one aspect of that document that I just love is the Article 6 of the Northwest Ordinance, which essentially stated that there would be no slavery in the new territory. But so you'll notice that most of the document is typed, or they didn't have typewriters pressed. But the Article 6 is handwritten. That's because they got pressure to remove Article 6, and it was removed until my understanding is that a lot of the Southern slave owners didn't want competition in the new lands. So they actually pressured to have that restriction put back in. So you get the Article 6 handwritten at the bottom. And I also included transcription of the document.
Very helpful. Very helpful. And I love the little marginalia as well. I mean, what fun to be able to see the original document.
Yeah. And then when you go in, when you first
now, if you clicked on that document to explore that original, you'll see that he's conveniently included that opens in a separate tab so that you can still easily go back.
And the color coding, Anthony, where do they access the chart so they can see what the colors?
Under layers, if you expand the original patents,
upper right-hand corner for layers.
Yes.
You'll see the color diagram.
The color?
So you'll have to zoom in. You have to zoom in on the map for the original patents to actually show up.
Right. So if you're zoomed out and they can see all the colors, the greens, the blues, and the purples, they'll see, and then what those colors mean. If they click on the upper right hand corner, they see like pancakes. That's the layers. Click on there, and then you'll have 3 options: points of interest, township range, and then original patents. Is that where they see that?
Yes. And then just click on the 3 dots with the lines
on the right. Okay.
Yep. And it'll expand the legend.
There you go. Okay.
Heads up, you're going to be spending a lot of time in here.
Yeah. I see Bill saying he's already sees some relatives. Yeah. That's very cool. What I love about seeing those colors is that we learn in textbooks in school as kids that, they settled around the water first and yada, yada, yada. You can see this.
Right. Just like Sims.
Yeah. And usually those like purple, burgundy, whatever color, that deeper on the river, along the east side, along the river, a lot of those were actually the surveyors who bought some of the land, like Absalom Martin, who then there's town Martin's Ferry in Belmont County.
So just to be sure everybody sees this, you tap in the layers on the upper right-hand corner, and particularly where it says original patents, check that, and then tap that little checkbox in the up on the right side where it says original patents, and it drops down by dates. So the earliest ones are the deep purple, and it goes out to blue and then green. You got a whole rainbow going there. Nicely done. Very, very cool. So once you see you're in a given township, is that right?
Yes. You can zoom in, and the actual township and range will go away, and the names of the patents will show up on some of the patents. So you can search by name there, but you can also go up to the smart search button and search that way to bring up specific names if you're curious about a name.
So give us a name we might look for.
John Ross.
Now, you see, this one was an interest to me because I have a whole Ross line. Wait a second. I just looked for John Ross. Is it
Not
because
John
I'm
Ross.
tapped in a given
No, it's not
Did you
John
put
Ross.
Ross first? You have to put the last name first. Did you do that?
James
He
Ross.
just did.
Oh, you want James?
Yes.
James Ross by himself?
Ross,
Yes.
James.
Or the James Ross and
You can just
Basil?
type Ross and you see a whole long list and then scroll
Right.
down to James. See,
Yep.
I have a Ross family line and you mentioned that one to me. I got very excited. Not my people, unfortunately. I did get very excited.
So you'll get several, and you can just click on the various ones. This one was interesting to me because the one wasn't in the BLM records, but it was in one of the surveys. And it turns out that he was one of Absalom Martin's friends who talked him into buying land. And of course, it's one of the better places to buy land. But I thought, well, who's John Ross and why does he have James Ross? And why does he have all this property? James Ross was a U.S. senator from Pittsburgh who can be credited with starting the purchase of the Louisiana Purchase, all by a speech. If you don't remember, New Orleans at that time was owned by Spain. And this was during the time of Napoleon. And essentially, Spain didn't want the United States to have access to the port of New Orleans, which would have been devastating for the country since it's a major port on the Mississippi with the Ohio Mississippi. It would have been horrible. So James Ross just in a speech said, in a roundabout way, what if we just gathered up 500,000 troops and went down and took it? And that sort of what started the talks into once Napoleon won back or was able to, I don't remember the details, but essentially was able to negotiate the sale of the Louisiana Purchase with that speech. So someone with that much influence right here in the Ohio Valley is just amazing to me.
So once you find James Ross, and as a clue, you can also look for these numbers. What are the county numbers? Township numbers?
Township and range.
Yeah, so those are township numbers. And once you find that Township 6 Range 2, for example, you can go see the original document, which is, I don't know. I get so excited to see those original press, published things. And then when you see that, how do you get to those names again? I had it a second ago. Maybe I was
zoom in. You
zoom in close enough. Yeah. To a given
patent. And then when you click on a particular patent you're interested in, you'll get the info dialog for that particular patent. And we have the accession number. If the accession number is zeros, or I think I have a couple of combinations in there, that means it wasn't in BLM. I found it some other way. The patent date, township, range, and section, the aliquot, which was a new word for me because I've never heard of aliquot before starting this project, but it's a word I like saying, aliquot.
I thought Diane wished that she could see the screen. So you'll be able to see the screen when we do this full session by Zoom.
And I'll be sharing exactly. Don't worry.
One of the coolest aspects of clicking on a patent is to actually bring up the BLM GLO record, and it'll open up in a separate tab right to the BLMO website. And on that site, you can actually see the original patent. And most of them are signed by the sitting president at that time, which is really cool. I also have, and this is part that's going to continue to grow and be expanded on, is when I find someone interesting, like James Ross, there is additional sources tab that will take you to whatever information website that I found on that person. For James Ross, it's a wiki page and a site on lewisandclark.org that talks about James Ross. And then second to last is the familysearch.org. That when you click on it, it will open up the Family Search website that allows you to start your search. If you have a login, you can just log in and search, or
even without a login for mere mortals here, it pulls up historical records found for Brazil Wells, for example, who was in a purchase with James Ross, and it lists the names for him and then sets you up to either create an account or log in for yourself, which is a pretty doggone awesome way to see those connections. Now, again, I'm getting from the land to who purchased what when, and very explicitly where, to who they were. And this patent date, for example, that James Ross and Brazil Wells, I guess, bought together in the land patent. James Ross was quite the dude.
I don't want to remind folks too that just because they own the land here doesn't mean they lived here. So you might have ancestors that were veterans of the Revolution who were able to buy land eventually, or granted land, that you might not realize, because on all your census records they might be living in Virginia. So it's a fun search. It's a good learning experience. So
exactly.
And because nothing's perfect, I'll provided a link that if because a lot of the transcriptions of the BLM records were wrong. A lot of the records I ended up with duplicate records because whoever transcribed the record read northwest instead of southwest, and so that's how the record is showing up. So there's a link to allow, if you know of a record being incorrectly listed, to provide a source for that, and it will be added to my database, and I can then research it, and if it's accurate, then I can add it to the site or correct it on the site.
That's a true love of data. Make sure the data's right. Well, I see so many of you joining, and many of you, I'm guessing, may even be joining at the suggestion of others. You're very welcome to chime in here with questions, and then as we circulate this recording, we will also have comments and so on, that you're very welcome. Tell us a little bit, if you would, Crystal, why you're doing this, why you're sharing this now. You guys are Belmont County. What are you doing with this, and how can we help you do it?
Well, this has already gone way beyond what Jason, the county recorder, and I ever expected. So we just kind of get ideas as we do our own research, and then we go to Anthony and say, "Hey, what about?" And then he's the computer genius. We just think of things. I guess so. If you think of things that, it'd be really cool if we could do this, or if we would know about that, as we play with it, we'll discover and we'll think of new things. So let us know, because that's part of the fun of it. It's just like some things I never would think of doing, and Anthony thinks of it. So it's been a cool project for all of us to work together, and because we're coming from very different approaches. The county recorder, I'm the economic development, and then the GIS and the engineer's office. So, but we all have a love of local history and genealogy. So I think that's really key, to just see these different expertise come together with the problem, and the talent in engineering to say, "Oh, I can do that," with a personal interest in getting it done, is just brilliant. Yeah.
Also, I would point out from our conversations, I can see that it's not just about, pardon the expression, it's not only Belmont County.
Right.
Because this is not only, and you're already doing the 7 ranges, but also, if this is possible for your county, there are extensions of it for any other place, because you're working with standards-based technology, right?
Correct.
And the API, you had the link to Family Search working within what, 24 hours?
Yeah, and
Something like that?
actually, I had overcomplicated it with the way they have things set up, and for what I wanted to accomplish, I actually don't need their API per se. I just need to be able to recreate their links. And since they search a certain way with all the attributes in the URL, it's pretty easy to decipher the URL and recreate it based off of my data, and um, they make their searches available through that. So it's super easy, and um,
We'll
I
take
just
your word for that
overcomplicated it.
one, Anthony. It's super easy.
Well, this is the key, honestly, in my experience from entrepreneurship, is finding the elements that kind of were just sitting there on the ground and the innovation and creativity to see why that's valuable and how useful that can be, and then evangelizing that as a use case. And all of you joining today are what I'm trying to say here. All of you are part of the solution in the sense of getting the word out of what is possible and celebrating this incredible accomplishment here and expanding on it. So, are you two willing, you and the three of you with Jason, willing to talk to others about doing this in their counties?
Oh,
I plan on at least expanding it. I'm part of a Discord group with most of the Ohio County GIS professionals. At least recruiting them to QC a lot of the data that falls within their county.
That's double check and quality control and review that data. That's just brilliant. I'm so thrilled to have even just been here at the time and to celebrate this work and encourage it anywhere else. I think all of you in the audience, I know who you are, and I welcome your support for this project. And hope you can join us on October 30th. Feel free to share this video and tell others about it. Let's see if we can't get others to see what's going on here in Belmont County. It's pretty awesome, and we'll see where we take it from here, eh?
great. Sounds good. Yeah. Let us know if you have ideas or things that you would love for this data to be able to do.
Yay! Thank you so much. I appreciate all your support and encouragement. So we'll see you on the 30th then.
Yep.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Take care now. Thanks
Bye.
so much for making this on a Sunday morning. Bye bye.
Bye bye.